Hello, squirrels. Background's gone. Halloween is over. Wah. Missed my witch hat, but yay. I love this hat that Sissy made me. Way cool cloche. I need a pilgrim hat. Who's going to make me a pilgrim hat? I don't think I can manage that. I don't think Bod has one of those. Ooh, I got so many. So many things on the go. And yesterday, I didn't, I forgot in the morning because I was running around doing stuff. And y'all, my head is banging still. I think I got allergies big time. I hope and pray that's all it is. Because this mess up here is kind of no joke. I'm supposed to be careful with it. Oh, this is real sore right here. Y'all help me pray I'm not going to have surgery again. That's just fine, and it's just because of allergies. You kind of baggy on this side I sleep on too. So. Neck, oh, I'm sorry. Boy, am I whinging. I just need some prayers, thank you. But anyway, when I was listening to, so I have to finish our last booger story. Old bugs. I heard myself say old bags in the last sentence, so I remember where I am. It's bugs, not bags. Old bugs was not pleasing to look upon. That was the last thing I said, except I said bags. Okay, I'm going to finish this. We'll see how long it takes, and then we will get back to the and books. I may have to wait till tomorrow, though. Probably will, because I'm feeling just, ugh. The disposition of old Bugs was as odd as his aspect. Ordinarily, he was true to the derelict type, ready to do anything for a nickel or a dose of whiskey or hashish, but at rare intervals he shrewd the traits which earned him his name. He shooed. I don't know if I said shrewd. He shooed. Then he would try to straighten up, and a certain fire would creep into the sunken eyes. His demeanor would assume an unwonted grace and even dignity, and the sodden features around him would sense something of superiority, something which made him less ready to give the usual kicks and cuffs to the poor butt and drudge. At these times he would shew a sardonic humor and make remarks which the folk of Shehans deemed foolish and irrational. But the spells would soon pass, and once more old Bugs would resume his eternal floor scrubbing and cuspidor cleaning. I had eating Halloween candy. Milk duds. I got one stuck in the roof of my mouth, so if I sound funny, that's why. Old Bugs, old Bugs. Cuspidor cleaning. For one thing, old Bugs would have been an ideal slave to the establishment, and the one thing was his conduct when young men were introduced for their first drink. The old man would then rise from the floor in anger and excitement, muttering threats and warnings and seeking to dissuade the novices from embarking upon their course of seeing life as it is. He would sputter and fume, exploding into, Sandy, help, left as right, sesquipedalian admonitions and strange oaths, and animated by a frightful earnestness, which brought a shudder to more than one drug-racked mind in the crowded room. But after a time his alcohol-enfeebled brain would wander from the subject, and with a foolish grin he would turn once more to his mop or cleaning rag. I do not think that many of Shehans' regular patrons will ever forget the day that young Alfred Trevor came. He was rather a rich and high-spirited youth who would go the limit in anything he undertook, At least that was the verdict of Pete Schultz, Sheehan's runner, who had come across the boy at Lawrence College in the small town of Appleton, Wisconsin. Trevor was the son of prominent parents in Appleton. His father, Carl Trevor, was an attorney and citizen of distinction, whilst his mother had made an enviable reputation as a poetess under her maiden name of Eleanor Wing. Alfred was himself, oh no, please come back, brother, yeah, it came back. I'm getting messages and they're getting in my way. Alfred himself, a scholar and poet of distinction, though cursed with a certain childish irresponsibility which made him an ideal prey for Sheehan's runner. He was blond, handsome, and spoiled, vivacious, and eager to taste the several forms of dissipation about which he had read and heard. At Lawrence, he had been prominent in the mock fraternity of Tappa Tappa Keg, where he was the wildest and merriest of the wild and merry young roisterers. But this immature college frivolity, no, did not satisfy him. Why are these sounds coming? I thought I had this turned off. Wait a minute. No, I had it turned off, but it's still coming on. Did not satisfy him. He knew deeper vices through books, and now he longed to know them at first hand. Perhaps this tendency toward wildness had been stimulated somewhat by the repression to which he had been subjected at home, for Mrs. Trevor had particular reason for training her only child with rigid severity. She had, in her own youth, been deeply and permanently impressed with the horror of dissipation by the case of one to whom she had, for a time, been engaged. Young Galpin, the fiancé in question, had been one of Appleton's most remarkable sons. Attaining distinction as a boy through his wonderful mentality, he won vast fame at the University of Wisconsin, and at the age of 23 returned to Appleton to take up a professorship at Lawrence and to slip a diamond upon the finger of Appleton's fairest and most brilliant daughter. For a season all went happily till, without warning, the storm burst. Evil habits, dating from a first drink taken years before in woodland seclusion, made themselves manifest in the young professor, and only by a hurried resignation did he escape a nasty prosecution for injury to the habits and morals of the pupils under his charge. His engagement broken, Galpin moved east to begin life anew, but before long Appletonians heard of his dismissal in disgrace from New York University, where he had obtained an instructorship in English. Galpin now devoted his time to the library and lecture platform, preparing volumes and speeches on various subjects connected with Bell's letters, and always shewing, S-H-E-W-I-N-G, it's like the past tense of showing, I guess, a genius so remarkable that it seemed as if the public must sometime pardon him for his past mistakes. His impassioned letters in defense of Villon, Poe, Verlaine, and Oscar Wilde were applied to himself as well, and in the short Indian summer of his glory there was talk of a renewed engagement at a certain cultured home on Park Avenue. But then the blow fell. A final disgrace, compared to which the others had been as nothing, shattered the illusions of those who had come to believe in Galpin's reform, and the young man abandoned his name and disappeared from public view. Rumor now and then associated him with a certain Consul Hastings, whose work for the stage and for motion picture companies attracted a certain degree of attention because of its scholarly breadth and depth. But Hastings soon disappeared from the public eye, and Galpin became only a name for parents to quote in warning accents. Eleanor Wing soon celebrated her marriage to Carl Trevor, a rising young lawyer, and of her former admirer retained only enough money to dictate the naming of her only son and the moral guidance of that handsome and headstrong youth. Now, in spite of all that guidance, Alfred Trevor was at Sheehan's and about to take his first drink. "Boss!" cried Schultz as he entered the vile-smelling room with his young victim. "Meet my friend Al Trevor. Best little sport up at Lawrence. This in Appleton with some swell guy, too. Father's a big corporation lawyer in his burg, and mother's some fiery genius. He wants to see life as she is. Wants to know what the real lightning juice tastes like. So just remember, he's me friend, and treat him right." As the names Trevor, Lawrence, and Appleton fell in the air, the loafers seemed to sense something unusual. Perhaps it was only some sound connected with the clinking balls on the pool tables or rattling glasses that were brought from the cryptic regions in the rear. Perhaps only that, plus some strange rustling of the dirty draperies at the one dingy window, but many thought that someone in the room had gritted his teeth and drawn a very sharp breath. "Glad to know you, Sheehan," said Trevor in a quiet, well-bred tone. "This is my first experience in a place like this, but I am a student of life and don't want to miss any experience. There's poetry in this sort of thing, or perhaps you don't, but it's all the same." "Young feller," responded the proprietor, "you come to the right place to see life. We got all kinds here. Real life and a good time. The damn government can try to make folks good of it wants to, but it can't stop a feller from hitting her up when he feels like it. What do you want, feller? Booze, coke, or some other sort of dope? You can't ask for nothing we ain't got." Habitues say that it was at this point they noticed a cessation in the regular monotonous strokes of the mop. "I want whiskey, good old-fashioned rye," exclaimed Trevor enthusiastically. "I'll tell you, I'm good and tired of water after reading of the merry bouts fella used to have in the old days. I can't read an anacreonic without watering at the mouth, and it's something a lot stronger than water that my mouth waters for." "Anacreonic? What the hell's that?" Several hangers-on looked up as the young man went slightly beyond their depth, but the bank defaulter under cover explained to them that Anacreonic was a gay old dog who lived many years ago and wrote about the fun he had when all the world was just like Sheehan's. "Let me see, Trevor," continued the defaulter. "Didn't Schultz say your mother's a literary person, too?" "Yes, damn it," replied Trevor, "but nothing like the old tin. She's one of those dull, eternal moralizers that try to take all the joy out of life, namby-pamby sort. Ever heard of her? She writes under her maiden name of Eleanor Wing." Here it was that old Bugs dropped his mop. "Well, here's your stuff," announced Sheehan jovially as a tray of bottles and glasses was wheeled into the room. "Good old rye, and as fiery as you can find anywheres in chai, or shy, I guess. I don't know. I was going to say short for Chicago, but didn't they say they were in Wisconsin? I don't know. The youth's eyes glistened and his nostrils curled at the fumes of the brownish fluid which an attendant was pouring out for him. It repelled him horribly and revolted all his inherited delicacy, but his determination to taste life to the full remained with him, and he maintained a bold front. But before his resolution was put to the test, the unexpected intervened. Old Bugs, springing up from the crouching position in which he had hitherto been, leaped at the youth and dashed from his hands the uplifted glass, almost simultaneously attacking the tray of bottles and glasses with his mop and scattering the contents upon the floor in a confusion of odoriferous. The smell. I gotta turn this off. Now please let that come back. Gotta find where it was. The odiferous fluid and broken bottles and tumblers. Numbers of men, or things which had been men, dropped to the floor and began lapping at the puddles of spilled liquor, but most remained immovable, watching the unprecedented actions of the barroom drudge and derelict. Old Bugs straightened up before the astonished Trevor, and in a mild and cultivated voice said, "Do not do this thing. I was like you once, and I did it. Now I'm like this." "What do you mean, you damned old fool?" shouted Trevor. "What do you mean by interfering with the gentleman and his pleasure?" Sheehan, now recovering from his astonishment, advanced and laid a heavy hand on the old waif's shoulder. "This is the last time for you, old bird," he exclaimed furiously. "When a gentleman wants to take a drink here, by God, he shall, without you interfering. Now get the hell out of here afore I kick the hell out of you." But Sheehan had reckoned without scientific knowledge of abnormal psychology and the effects of nervous stimulus. Old Bugs, obtaining a firmer hold on his mop, began to wield it like a javelin of a Macedonian hoplite, and soon cleared a considerable space around himself, meanwhile shouting various disconnected bits of quotation, among which prominently repeated the sons of Belial, like Baal, I think, blown with insolence and wine. The room became pandemonium, and men screamed and howled in fright at the sinister being they had aroused. Trevor seemed dazed in the confusion and shrank to the wall as the strife thickened. "He shall not drink! He shall not drink!" thus roared old Bugs, as he seemed to run out of, or rise above, quotations. Policemen appeared at the door, attracted by the noise, but for a time they made no moves to intervene. Trevor, now thoroughly terrified and cured forever of his desire to see life via the vice route, edged closer to the blue-coated newcomers. Could he but escape and catch a train for Appleton, he reflected, he would consider his education in dissipation quite complete. Then suddenly old Bugs ceased to wield his javelin and stopped still, drawing himself up more erectly than any denizen of the place had ever seen him before. And then he said something in Latin. Let's see what it says that it means. "Hail, Emperor, those who are about to die salute you," is a well-known Latin phrase. Okay, now can I get back? Okay. He shouted and dropped to the whiskey-reeking floor, never to rise again. Subsequent impressions will never leave the mind of young Trevor. The picture is blurred, but ineradicable. Policemen plowed a way through the crowd, questioning everyone closely, both about the incident and about the dead figure on the floor. Sheehan especially did they ply with inquiries, yet without eliciting any information of value concerning old Bugs. Then the bank defaulter remembered the picture and suggested that it be viewed and filed for identification at police headquarters. An officer bent reluctantly over the loathsome, glass-eyed form and found the tissue-wrapped cardboard which he passed around among the others. "Some chicken," leered a drunken man as he viewed the beautiful face, but those who were sober did not leer. Looking with respect and abashment at the delicate and spiritual features, no one seemed able to y'all could figure out what the ending's going to be, I bet. No one seemed able to place the subject, and all wondered that the drug-degraded derelict should have such a portrait in his possession, that is all. But the bank defaulter, who was meanwhile eyeing the intruding bluecoats rather uneasily, he had seen a little deeper beneath old Bug's mask of utter degradation. Then the picture was passed to Trevor, and a change came over the youth. After the first start, he replaced the tissue wrapping around the portrait, as if to shield it from the sordidness of the place. Then he gazed long and searchingly at the figure on the floor, noting its great height and the aristocratic cast of features which seemed to appear now that the wretched flame of life had flickered out. "No," he said hastily, as the question was put to him. He did not know the subject of the picture. It was so old, he added, that no one now could be expected to recognize it. But Alfred Trevor did not speak the truth, as many guessed, when he offered to take charge of the body and secure its interment in Appleton. Over the library mantel in his home hung the exact replica of that picture, and all his life he had known and loved its original, for the gentle and noble features were those of his own mother. That was good. Oh, Lovecraft. We should, if you want more horror or thriller kind of stories, H.P. Lovecraft. I had heard of him, and there's lots and lots and lots of titles. So anyway, we will be back. I think I said we've read 3. What do we read? Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Avonlea, Anne of the Island. There was a 4th one, I think. Anyway, I was going to start with that today, and if I feel better later on, I'll come back on, but I don't know. And I've been getting messages because I'm not on somebody's live that I'm usually on. But anyway, pray for me if you don't mind, that I would feel better. I'll be praying for all of you. Special prayers for those that we have on the our prayer list on the channel, but I do pray for all the Squirrel Squad and everybody in the fiber community. And love to you all, and be sweet and don't be ugly. I should show my sign that Jessica A. Noble, one of the squirrels, painted and gave me about a year or so ago. And anyway, live at 3 today. 3 bells. Remember, on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, 2 hours earlier, 3. Tomorrow I'll be back to 5. And all these are Eastern times. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5. Okie dokie. And I told you I would tell you the colors of these. See, this is one I had before, and this is a darker one. And then I didn't. So, y'all remind me if I forget. All right. See you later. Love y'all. Bye-bye.